These are 3 things I quit doing when I started to run every single day. Number 1, no alcohol. So I'm not an expert. This is not a how-to. My only expertise is my own experience. But what I can confidently say is that quitting drinking has been the best thing I've ever done for my physical and my mental health. What I've learned over time is that running every day and drinking are just 2 incompatible things. They don't go well together. And I've realised that drinking was taking far more away from me than it was giving, and running was giving far more to me than it was ever taking away. So drinking loses you time, money, sleep, your physical well-being, your mental well-being, they're all compromised. And what I was kind of learning more was that the older I was getting, the less able I was to sort of bounce back from having a few drinks and still go out and run and train in the way that I wanted to. And there was nothing more demoralising than seeing a clear Saturday morning stretching out ahead of me, just evaporating because I was feeling a bit ropey. And so I put it down, both literally and metaphorically. And as I've started to run more regularly, and as my running has improved and increased, I've got no desire to pick it back up again. Number 2, mindless consumption of social media. Now I get the irony. I'm talking to you through a social media platform, and I do use social media. But what I'm talking about here is that negative, time-consuming consumption. Now, like most of you watching this, you're probably very busy. I've got 3 small humans, full-time job, and I want to get out the door and train and run to the best of my ability every single day. So I started to look at those things that were sucking the time and the energy away from me and weren't really offering me much value for money. I'm not saying it's all bad. There are lots of positives, but for me it's about really being mindful of what I'm consuming and why I'm consuming it. 1 hour of David Goggins talking to Rich Roll about the ultramarathon mindset is going to be far more valuable than 10 minutes of cats on trampolines. Number 3, I quit focusing on what a good runner is and stopped comparing myself to others around me. So confession time, I hated running. In my earlier days, I really enjoyed doing triathlons, and I enjoyed the swim and the bike because I was quite good at those, but I hated the running because I wasn't very good at it. But as I've shifted now towards more of a running focus, in the early days I became obsessed with what my 5k times were like, my half marathon predicted times, and whether or not I was good enough in my age group or in the particular race that I was doing. And I was so focused on the outcome and those around me that I didn't really pay enough attention to actually what I was doing and how I was running. Now Murakami puts this beautifully in his book what I talk about when I talk about running. And he says, running every day, bit by bit, picking up the races, I elevate myself to the next level. It's not about those others around you. Motivating as it can be to train with others and of course to race alongside others, ultimately the biggest race is with yourself. And so when I quit focusing too much on what others were doing on Strava, whether I was doing enough mileage, running long enough, and I quit focusing on my goal time for races and just became more involved in the process of what I was doing day after day. And what I found is the results have come. My times across all of the main distances have significantly dropped, and I've gone on to achieve things in the running world that 4 years ago I would have laughed at you. There's no way I could ever have envisioned myself running ultras, running every single day. But what I will always make sure I'm doing is focusing on my own process, not those around me. And the rest will take care of itself.